Today's Manna. 가스펠라이프 철치 데니얼 킴 목사가 보내드리는 시간입니다.
Hello to the friends and family of KCBS. My name is Daniel. I'm a pastor of Gospelife Church, and welcome to the week 3 of today's Manna. I have a question to ask you here this morning. Have you ever used a walkie-talkie before? I was a lifeguard in high school and I had an opportunity to use this device, and when you communicate through walkie-talkie, obviously you're communicating to the person who's holding the other walkie-talkie. You have to press a button and then you talk into it, and then this one individual hears the other voice from the other walkie-talkie. However, what happens is, imagine you're using this device and talk at the same time, and as you can imagine, then you're gonna see some beep sound and you won't be able to communicate with one another. This is because when you both talk at the same time, the message that you're trying to deliver in your communication does not work as you expect. And today we'll be talking about the art of listening. An effective way for us to communicate with one another, because at times when you and I are having conversation with the people around us, your spouse, your friends, and your family, at times we are not talking like a walkie-talkie, and rather we're trying to communicate our feeling through a megaphone. And in the midst of us thinking and living in the life of this, James challenged us in chapter 1, verse 19. It's one verse that you and I are going to read here today. It says this: "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." James gives us a powerful model and 3 practical takeaways for us to be an effective communicator. And we see 3 different action steps here in this verse, where first one is be quick to listen. It means you and I are called to prioritize understanding. And secondly, we are called to be slow to speak. Right? I'm a very fast talker, as you can probably imagine. But this also means that you and I are called to choose the words wisely. And lastly, we have to be slow to anger, meaning we have to control our emotions for us to communicate our words with wisdom. And the first thing is that, as I have said in the past, you and I are called to be quick to listening. I don't know about you, but I'm a big coffee fan. In the morning, I would, grind those beans and I would pour over all those hot water to get the coffee going. And as you can imagine, what happens is that when I'm brewing my coffee, I'm only putting my liquid so that I don't have to get those dirty and smelly grounds in my coffee, because it just filters the grounds whenever I pour some hot water. And I think this is the same way when James says, be quick to listen, meaning that listening is a filter that keeps some unnecessary words and assumptions from contaminating our conversations. Most people listen to respond rather than to listen to understand. I don't know about you, but at times when I was talking to my wife, I would listen, obviously, but I'm listening while thinking about how to respond, and this is not what James is saying, but he is rather challenging us that you and I are called to pause and listen, intentionally listen to understand. And the second thing we see is that James reminds us saying, be slow to speak. Be slow to speak, and it means that you and I are called to speak slowly and seek to understand and use the cautious words. And maybe some of you like to brush your teeth. I do that every morning, every lunch, and every night. Have you ever tried squeezing the toothpaste too much? Right? You're like, ooh, and you want to put it back, but it is a little bit too late for you to put the toothpaste back because you have squeezed it too hard. And this is a reminder that the words have so much power. The things you say, some of the times, it stays in people's heart and you can never take it back. And this is why Proverbs chapter 10 verse 19 says, when words are many, sin is not absent, but he who holds his tongue is wise. So before you speak, you and I are called to think 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it loving? Because you and I remember, the words that you speak, you cannot put it back. And lastly, you and I are called to be slow to anger. I don't know about you, but I am a big driver. I drive all the time for work, and when I go home, and a car without brake, as you can imagine, is very dangerous. You need to have a brake in your car, and this is the same way in your speech. When you're talking, you have to learn how to slow down. You have to learn how to take a pause and be slow to anger. This means that when emotions rise, James tells us to slow down and take a break, because the anger-driven words, it it wrecks relationships faster than any type of a car crash. And I would love for you to take away this practical stuff. But lastly, if you are struggling to think, well, Pastor, what do you mean by actually to effectively communicate my idea? I have 3 practical ways for you to do this in your daily life is for you to think about a traffic light. When you're driving, you see a traffic light. When you see a red light, you stop. When you see a yellow light, you're called to slow down. And a green light, you just go and move forward. And being quick to listen means it's a green light. Go ahead and seek to understand. And a slow to speak is like a yellow, meaning proceed the conversation with caution, think before responding. And lastly, be slow to anger, which is a red sign, meaning take a pause, hit the brake button, stop before you say something harmful and also regretful. Man, I want to challenge you here today. Let's put away the megaphone and let us communicate effectively using this walkie-talkie by listening intentionally, being slowing to anger, and also being slowing to speak.
지금까지 가스펠라이프 처치의 데니얼 킴 목사였습니다. 성경이나 예수 그리스도에 관해서 더 알기를 원하시는 분은 시카고 기독교 방송 전화 847-583 영원 구원으로 연락 바랍니다.